Hello everybody and welcome to section 2.8, Proving Angle Relationships. Looking at several postulates here. The angle addition postulate. As you can see from this picture, R is the interior of angle PQS, the big angle. The measure of angle PQR plus the measure of angle RQS is equal to the measure of PQS. If the measure of PQR plus the measure of RQS equals the measure of PQS, then R is in the interior of angle PQS. So these two statements are saying the same thing in reverse order. Basically, the angle addition postulate is if you have two adjacent angles, add them together, they equal the measure of the entire angle, the larger angle, which is formed from the two adjacent angles with interior point R. Okay, theorem 2.3, the supplement theorem, says if two angles are a linear pair, then they are supplementary angles. As we can see from this picture, angle 1 and 2 are linear angles, and they do make 180 degrees. So just remember, the supplement theorem says if you're linear, then you are supplementary. Complement theorem. If the non-common sides of two adjacent angles form a right angle, then the angles are called complementary angles. We can see that in the picture here. We have angles 1 and 2 adjacent to each other, that together they add up to form a right angle, 90 degrees. Okay, theorem 2.5, congruence of angles is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. So here we see the reflexive property. Angle 1 is congruent to itself. Symmetric property, if angle 1 is congruent to 2, then 2 is congruent to 1. And the transitive property, if 1 is congruent to 2 and 2 is congruent to 3, then 1 is congruent to 3. Angle 2.6, angles supplementary to the same angle or to congruent angles are congruent. The abbreviation for this is this right here. Notice the symbols. Angles supplementary to the same angle or congruent angles are congruent. So in the picture here, we were pointing out measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 are 180. We established that 1 and 2 are supplementary. And then we say angle 2 and 3 are supplementary. Looking at 2 and 3, those two are supplementary. If that is congruent, we can see that from the picture right there. Okay, let's go back there. 2.7, angles complementary to the same angle or to congruent angles are congruent. There's the abbreviation, angles complementary to the same angle or congruent angles are congruent. Here's this diagram. We have 1 and 2 angles equal 90 degrees. That's looking at these two right here. They're complementary. 1 and 2 are complementary. We're also going to say that 2 and 3 are complementary. 2 and 3 go together to make a complementary angle. If that is the case, 1 and 3 are congruent. Angles 1 and 3 right here, congruent. Theorem 2.8, vertical angles theorem. If two angles are vertical angles, then they are congruent. Here's the abbreviation. It says vertical angles are congruent. So anytime you have vertical angles, the vertical angles theorem says they are congruent. 2 is congruent to 4, and 1 is congruent to 3 in the picture given. Right angles. Here's theorems all about right angles. 2.9, perpendicular lines intersect to form 4 right angles. 2.10, all right angles are congruent. 2.11, perpendicular lines form congruent adjacent angles. 2.12, if two angles are congruent and supplementary, then each angle is a right angle. 2.13, if two congruent angles form a linear pair, then they are right angles.